Hello and welcome to the Boeing University studio from the International Boeing Campus in Arlington, Texas. I'm Kelly Bednar and I'll be your host for this edition of the Boeing University Profit Break. Thank you for joining us. Our mission here at Boeing University is to enrich people's lives personally and professionally. And the Profit Break is an opportunity for sharing insights on how to grow revenue, reduce costs, and enrich yourself, your team, and your business. If you're joining the Profit Break for the first time, welcome. We're glad you're here. Give us 15 minutes and you'll be on your way to improving your profitability. On today's show, we talk about increasing your Boeing maintenance team's performance and ultimately your profitability by getting out in front of the costs of your Boeing maintenance department. Let's start with a question. Is your Boeing maintenance reactive or proactive towards repairs? When we look at your Boeing maintenance department as a whole, there are three pillars of the Boeing maintenance that are important to understand to help create and develop a team that's working on a high function way. Those three pillars are your labor, your parts and hardware and supplies budget, and then your frames per stop. All three of these together work like a three-legged stool, thus the graphic. We want to make sure that we're not overspending on labor to get huge frames per stop because we know frames per stop go straight towards the customer experience. Where we also don't want to just be buying parts and hardware willy-nilly. We want to make sure we're buying the right parts and hardware. So we want to keep our things in our budget. We want to keep our labor in line, but we also want to get those frames per stop as high as we possibly can. Well, what does that mean? Well, because if your frames per stop are really low, you're in a worst case scenario where you're chasing fires and you've got a snowball effect of things going bad. Or a best case scenario is you got a high performing department that's running at a good budget and at lower labor hours because your frames per stop are higher than they've been ever before. But to do that, we want to stay on top of issues before they start. We want to be proactive and not reactive within our maintenance department. When you're in our reactionary practices, as I mentioned, it's your worst case scenario. You're putting out fires. You get that snowball effect as when your car breaks down because you never rotated your tires or you got a flat tire on the side of the road. Rotating your tires, now you're changing your tires. And what happens when you have to buy that tire last minute, right? Or you got a maintenance repair in your car where it's now an emergency and it costs more, right? Well, the same thing happens in your department. If you can keep ahead of things, now you can get things ordered on time and things of that nature. So how can a mechanic efficiently handle it all, especially when you're caught in this reactionary scenario? Well, you got to get organized. You got to develop a system because the truth is belts don't just break and parts don't just fall off. You have to get there somehow. And if you're not keeping ahead of the preventive maintenance in a proactive way, well, now you're chasing yourself, chasing the fires, and the snowball begins to get quite large. So what can we do? It would be remiss of us to say, well, get organized and then leave it at that. So I'd like to take just a couple minutes today to give you a system. It's a proven system that a lot of high-performing centers use around the country. And that system is designed to give you a place to start. So now you're not just starting, okay, well, I don't have a clue where I start. Well, we're going to give you that start. You're going to start with regular and routine inspections, right? So those belts don't just break and the parts just don't fall off. You're looking for loose bolts. You're looking for nuts that aren't tightened. You're looking for linkages that are starting to wear. You're also looking for belts. Hey, a belt may have a crack in it. It doesn't mean it needs to be replaced today, but now we're going to keep a note of it. We're going to keep record of that. So an example would be at once a month, we're going to look at the backs of the machines and we're going to inspect everything on a machine once a month, right? That one machine, it gets gets looked at. So if you got 32 lanes, that means you may have to do 2 lanes in one day, right? We're going to get through all that. So slow and steady wins the race. That means that moving from reactionary to proactive maintenance will not happen overnight. It's something that's going to take you a slow and steady progression from maybe 500 frames per stop to 700 frames per stop, and eventually up into the industry accepted 1,000 for league or 2,000 for a guest experience. Realistic benchmark goals can be achieved just one step at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Same concept here. We don't go straight from 500 to 2,000. That's going to be financially not feasible, both in labor hours and in our budget for parts. So we're going to look at realistic benchmark goals. And overall, most importantly, be patient. It's going to take, if you're in a bad situation where you've got 500 frames per stop or even lower, you're probably looking at a year or two before you can get to a nice presentation of machine performance. Like I said, be remiss if we didn't give you an actual program. So first steps. What is your current status of your maintenance program? How bad is it? How good is it? Where are you today? Wherever you are is where you are. Draw the line in the sand and say, this is where we're going to move forward from here. Start with the problem children. Start with that one lane or one thing that happens all the time. Maybe you've got some balls that are getting caught in the lift rods on an A2, or you got something that you got some distributor issues on an 8270. Start with that one lane that's giving you the problem. Get that adjusted, distributor adjusted, or get those lift rods adjusted or pinwheel adjusted, so you can get those stops gone. Pinpoint those problem areas, and then understand what do you consider the best case scenario of how to run, how that program should run. What do you want to be? Where do you want to have it? Where do you want to be at 1,000 frames per top, 1,500 frames per top, 1,000 frames per top, 2,000 frames per top, 5,000 frames per top? Where do you want to be? Because once you determine that, now you've got a goal of you want to achieve, and how will it take to get there? Because once you do that, you can develop and implement the plan. Once you have a goal, then you can develop and have a plan in place that's going to get you where you want to go. So the All-7-1 system is the one system that we have seen more centers use around the country than any other, with a lot of success. It's based primarily on what the manufacturer sends you. They send you when you have your machines, if you inherited a Boeing center or purchased a Boeing center, find those maintenance programs that are available. We also have all those available within the Boeing University online program. Take some of those courses. They're all downloads there for you. You don't have to go hunting for them. But the All-7-1 system is as basic as it sounds. It allows for all equipment to get attention at some point during the course of the month. Some things get done every day, as in all days. So we want to be looking at proactive, preventive maintenance throughout the thing. So this is where the great thing about watching this on a video. You have a pause button. So you can get a calendar out, and we can look at what's going to go on. So some things get done every day, all days. Some things get done every 7 days, and some things get done once a month. So determine a timeline that stretches the maintenance department to achieve the best it's ever done. It's achievable, but we want to push the limit, right? We want to find what that is. And then, so now, like I said, pause button. Go get a calendar, and let's get started in the All-7-1. Take all the maintenance tasks that you need to have accomplished and spread them out over the course of the month. And then prioritize within the month exactly what needs to get done and when. Now you've got the calendar right there. Take a look and see what's going to work for you. With this system, the mechanic does something to the machines every day. And then some things are done additionally on the week, and some things are done once a month. As I mentioned earlier, a few slides ago, you're going to do an inspection of the machines. You're going to inspect a machine every day. If you have a 12-lane center, one day of the month, you're going to take and go top to bottom on one of those machines, looking for loose bolts, looking for loose linkages, looking for loose belts or broken belts. You're looking for something in that machine that you can make a note of. It doesn't necessarily need to get repaired right now, but you're looking at it to make sure that you've done an inspection and noting it in your book. So every day, something's getting done. You've got a system and a program. Instead of just standing around waiting for the next thing to break, we're getting out ahead of it, proactively getting ahead of our maintenance. Since the pin setters are our primary responsibility, as I mentioned, one machine a day. If you're a 12-lane center, it's only 12 days of the week, of the month, sorry. If you're a 40-lane center, well, now you may have a second person doing it, or you may have to do 2 in one day. With a larger center, you have at least 3 people on staff, so you should be able to get all that done. Centers with proactive maintenance programs spend less in the end. When you start looking at your maintenance program, when you're in reactive mode, you find that you're spending more on shipping, you're spending more on last-minute parts instead of searching around for the best part price from different vendors. So in the end, when you're comparing centers to no plan or a budget in place, centers with proactive maintenance programs spend less. So if spending less money, putting more money on your bottom line matters to you at all, think about going into a proactive maintenance. We're not even talking about the customer service aspect. We're talking about the actual budgeting of your center. Just these few minutes we spent here today is a much smaller, briefer synopsis of our Boeing Maintenance Best Practices course in our online program within the Boeing University on-demand education and training program. We would hope that you, your mechanic, your ownership, leadership, or even somebody aspiring to be a head mechanic would take a look at these courses, especially this one for the best practices, to get you to the next level of your performance within your maintenance department. And as we wrap up another edition of the Boeing University Profit Break, remember that when your focus is on growing your people, people will grow your business. We look forward to seeing you next time for another great episode. If you have any questions about today's show or would like any additional information, you can reach us at any time at education@bpaa.com. Also, all previous Profit Break episodes are available 24/7 for you and your team to watch at boeinguniversity.net. Plus, new Profit Break episodes are available every month. So mark your calendar, watch your email, and join us on Facebook to hear about our latest episodes. Until then, I'm Kelly Bednar, and do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. We'll see you next time.